Good evening, this is Mr. Wintermelon. In the previous lesson, we have learned the impact of inorganic matter as well as insecticide have on water. In this lesson, you will learn the impact of untreated sewage and fertilizer if they get into water. The impact is around the same, so I have grouped them up together. Then in the second part of this video, you will learn how untreated sewage can be processed. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to evaluate the effect of water pollution by sewage, outline the roles of microorganism, which is your bacteria, in sewage treatment as an example of environmental biotechnology. So first of all, let us look at the problem, how they can affect water. So fertilizer can dissolve in rain and they will get washed into the river or lake. So that is how fertilizer can get into river or lake, similar to your insecticide. Untreated sewage contains disease-causing bacteria, which will affect people who drank the contaminated water. Both untreated sewage and fertilizer will contain large amount of nutrient in the form of phosphate and nitrates. So those nutrients are great for the growth of algae. Algae are those green color plant that you can see on the surface of drain. And you can also find algae floating around on water because they are actually high in fat content, which cause them to have lesser density than water, which allows them to float. Untreated sewage can just be released into the river, lake, or sea, while fertilizer, they can be washed into the water body as well. So let us take a look at what is their impact. Untreated sewage can just be recklessly released into the lake, the river, or the sea, while fertilizer can easily be washed into those water body. So now let us take a look at the impacts of untreated sewage can just be released into the river or lake. Untreated sewage can just be recklessly released into the river, lake, or sea. While for fertilizer, as mentioned, they can readily dissolve in rainwater and get washed into any water body. So from there, they will cause some environmental problem. Untreated sewage can recklessly be released into the water. Untreated sewage can recklessly be released into the river, lake, or sea, while fertilizer can dissolve in rainwater and get washed into those water body. And when they enter the water, they will start causing some problems. So let us take a look at their impacts. So we have a river down here, and on the surface, normally you can see some algae lying around. Not a lot, just a bit. However, if untreated sewage or fertilizer get into the water, since they contain large amount of nutrient, it will quickly cause the algae to multiply. And this process is known as eutrophication. Eutrophication occurs as algae bloom due to the excessive nutrients such as phosphate and nitrate. So your sewage, which contains feces, as well as fertilizer which promote the growth of plant, will contain a lot of phosphate and nitrate. This will result in the rapid growth of algae, causing them to multiply all over the surface of the river. As a result, the sunlight will be blocked by the floating algae, and they will not be able to reach the submerged plant. So what will happen to the plant if they do not receive sunlight? The plant will die due to the lack of sunlight for photosynthesis, and as a result, oxygen will not be replenished into the river or the lake. And on top of that, because there's a lot of dead plant, the bacteria will be having a lot of fun down there. So bacteria will feed on the decaying plant, causing them to multiply rapidly, and because bacteria also need oxygen for respiration, so they will rapidly use up the oxygen in the water. So as a result, this is a double whammy in terms of concentration of oxygen inside the river or the lake. So besides being unable to release oxygen due to the lack of sunlight, the bacteria also quickly use up the oxygen since they multiplied rapidly. So as a result, the oxygen level will decrease. So in the end, what will happen is the fishes will also die due to lack of oxygen. So this is the effect of untreated sewage as well as fertilizer. Next, let us take a closer look at the oxygen level as well as the nitrate level in the river. So if I have my sewage that is released from here, you will quickly see a decrease in oxygen level. Why is there a decrease? Because the plant will be unable to photosynthesize due to algae blocking the sunlight, and the bacteria that feeds on the dead plant will also rapidly use up the oxygen since many plants were dying. The nitrate or the nutrients level, on the other hand, only goes up later. Why is this the case? Because near the site where sewage is released, since there's rapidly growth of bacteria, the bacteria will also use up the nitrate quickly. And because of this, it will only be further downstream whereby the nitrate level will increase. So the key is just to focus on the oxygen level. The oxygen level will definitely decrease near the site where the sewage is released. So in summary, what are the effects of untreated sewage and fertilizer? When they are released, it will increase the concentration of nitrate as well as phosphate in the body of water. It will cause the overgrowth of algae because they are nutrients which they need, and this whole process is known as eutrophication. The algae will block the sunlight and aquatic plant will die as a result. This will reduce the oxygen level because they cannot photosynthesize. Decomposer will rapidly grow because they can feed on the aquatic plant that died. And this will decrease the level of oxygen even further. And as a result, other organisms such as fish will die. Now that you know the problem caused by untreated sewage as well as fertilizer, what is the solution to this problem? So we can send the sewage to sewage treatment plant. In this picture, you can see an example of a sewage treatment plant that processes the sewage water through biotechnology. What is biotechnology? Biotechnology is a usage of living organisms to develop or make products. In this case, it is a special type of biotechnology, which we call environmental biotechnology. It is the usage of living organisms, in this case bacteria, to reduce pollution and to keep the environment clean. So let us walk through how does the sewage treatment work, how the bacteria are being used to get rid of the nitrogen and phosphate. First, the sewage water is filtered into the primary treatment tank. This filtration will get rid of large objects such as your tampons, condom, those things that you are not supposed to flush down from the toilet. As you can see, the liquid is separated out into liquid that is on top, as well as the feces that are below. The feces which have a higher density than the liquid will obviously sink to the bottom, while the liquid being liquid will be floating. But of course, the liquid is not totally clean and there are still particles of feces in the liquid. From this point on, the liquid and the solid will be separated into different tanks. So let us just follow the journey of the liquid that is at the top. It is sent to the aeration tank. Aeration, this word means that air is flowing in because oxygen is needed. Why is it needed? Because the liquid is mixed with aerobic bacteria. Aerobic bacteria actually gets their energy from aerobic respiration. So why they are added is the aerobic bacteria are responsible for breaking down the organic pollutants, basically your feces, in the water and remove the phosphate from them so that the water will not have any phosphate. Oxygen is bubbled into the tank to allow aerobic respiration to take place, since the bacteria depends on aerobic respiration to obtain its energy. The treated water is transferred to the final tank, whereby the bacteria and the sludge will settle to the bottom of the tank. The clean water is discharged, and because it doesn't contain those nutrients for the bacteria, they would not pollute the water. On the other hand, the bacteria are recycled and is sent back to the aeration tank, while the sludge is sent to the anaerobic digester, which is the same place where we send the solid in the primary treatment tank. Now, just take note, all of these are in black, meaning they are not exactly that important. The important part is how the bacteria are being used in the aeration tank as well as the anaerobic digester. In the anaerobic digester, surprise, surprise, anaerobic bacteria denitrify and decompose the sludge. Biogas, mainly methane, is produced. So biogas is used as fuel, while the solid remains can be used as fertilizer. So in summary, how bacteria help us to clean up our sewage water is this. In the primary treatment, actually we don't use bacteria. We just separate the solid and liquid waste. The liquid is being sent into the aeration tank. In the aeration tank, the aerobic bacteria absorbs and break down the organic pollutants. Phosphate is also removed by the bacteria. The primary sludge is sent to the anaerobic digester. In the anaerobic digester, anaerobic bacteria denitrify and decompose the sludge into biogas. And this is how we prevent sewage from polluting the water, by using environmental biotechnology to help to remove the phosphate as well as nitrate from the sewage water. And this will be all for this lesson.